Totoro in the Garden of Forgotten Dreams. The night was soft and tender. A pale silver moon stretched its light over the rooftops, and the stars blinked like curious little eyes. The world seemed to hold its breath. That's when Totoro heard it, a whisper. It was not the wind, not the rustle of leaves. It was softer, like the voice of something that had almost forgotten how to speak. The sound came from beyond the hill, from a place no one visited anymore. The old garden. The villagers called it the Forgotten Garden. They said the flowers no longer bloomed there, and the paths had been swallowed by weeds. Even children, who usually dared to go everywhere, kept their distance. But Totoro was different. He knew that silence often hid secrets, and secrets were meant to be discovered. Entering the Forgotten Garden, Totoro pushed through the tall grass. Branches brushed against his fur, and the air smelled of dust, earth, and something almost magical like the memory of laughter. The gate was broken. Leaning to one side, he stepped in. The garden looked tired. Swings hung motionless, ropes frayed. A little wooden playhouse stood crooked, its paint peeled away by years of rain and sun. A fountain in the center was cracked and dry, covered in moss. Totoro's big eyes wandered from corner to corner. It wasn't empty, not truly. He could feel it, a presence, like shadows of voices. He whispered gently, "Why are you so quiet?" The voice of dreams. At first, only the crickets replied, but then, a faint murmur filled the air. It wasn't the garden itself that spoke, it was something deeper. The dreams that once lived here. The dreams of children who used to run through these paths, building castles out of sticks, chasing butterflies, promising to become painters, explorers, singers, astronauts. Now, those dreams lay hidden, forgotten. Their owners had grown up, too busy, too tired. They had locked their wishes away, convincing themselves that life had no space for them. Totoro's heart ached. He could almost see those lost dreams like fragile lights, dimmed, flickering weakly in the shadows. "You don't deserve this," Totoro whispered. "You were meant to shine, breathing life." Totoro closed his eyes. He placed his paws on the ground and breathed. Not just air, his breath carried warmth, kindness, and the belief that nothing beautiful is ever truly lost. The earth trembled softly. Leaves began to shimmer as though washed by invisible rain. Tiny buds appeared on thorny branches. The fountain groaned and released a drop of water, then another, and suddenly, light. Flowers awoke, unfolding in slow motion, their petals glowing in colors the world had almost forgotten, blues like twilight oceans, pinks like sunrise, gold like the very heart of joy. The air smelled sweet again. The swing moved on its own, creaking happily, as if a child had just leapt onto it. The forgotten dreams lifted from the shadows, glowing brighter, returning to life. Children returned. Drawn by the light, children from the village came running. They gasped when they saw the garden blooming. "Look!" a little girl cried, pointing at the fountain where clear water now sparkled. A boy touched the swing, laughing as it swung higher. Another child picked flowers, pressing them against her cheek. The garden was alive again, but more importantly, it was theirs again. Their laughter filled the air, and the forgotten dreams, once dim, burst into dazzling light, a mirror for the grown-ups. The noise drew the grown-ups too. They stopped at the gate, hesitant. Many of them had played here long ago. Memories flickered in their minds, climbing trees, singing songs, building impossible castles. One man whispered, almost to himself, "I wanted to paint once." Another smiled sadly. "I used to dream of writing stories." The garden seemed to reflect their hidden selves back at them, the selves they had buried under work, bills, expectations, and for the first time in years, they allowed themselves to remember. Some laughed, some cried, some simply stood there, staring as if they had just met an old friend they thought was gone forever. Totoro's realization. Totoro sat quietly beneath a blooming tree, watching it all. The whispers were gone. The garden no longer asked to be saved, it was alive. And Totoro understood something deeper than before. Happiness doesn't vanish. Dreams don't die. They only fall asleep when we stop believing in them. But with a little courage, a little kindness, and a little imagination, we can wake them again. He looked at the grown-ups, now smiling with the same wonder they once had as children. He looked at the kids, running free, and he thought, freedom and happiness begin when we dare to dream again no matter how old we are. Closing. That night, when the stars sparkled brighter than usual, the garden kept glowing long after everyone had gone home, and if you walked past, you would swear you could still hear children laughing. Or maybe, just maybe, you would hear your own forgotten dream calling you to return. And Totoro, he simply smiled, knowing that sometimes the greatest magic is not in finding new worlds, but in remembering the ones we left behind.